my name is Courtney Dawson. My family and I have been at Fellowship for about a year and a half now. Growing up, I was really someone who just felt like I wanted to please people all the time, and especially my parents. And the thing with that when you're an only child is you kind of feel like all of your parents' happiness depends on you. And so I was very big on doing the right thing, whether it was in school or whether it was pleasing my parents or just going to church on Sunday. I just really wanted to do what I felt like God expected me to do. In a lot of ways, I was like the rich young ruler in Matthew 19. I wanted to know the things that I must do to inherit eternal life. As long as I could say, all of these I've kept, I felt like I was doing pretty good. But the problem is that doesn't really leave a lot of room for God's grace. When I was around 8 years old, I understood that being baptized was a part of doing the right thing. And so I was baptized, but it didn't really change my life the way that it should have. It didn't really affect my heart. And as I grew into my teen years, it still was a matter of just doing what I knew was right rather than letting God change my heart. In August of 2010, we came to Fellowship to witness the baptism of some friends of ours. And when we were here that day, the Lord just revealed Himself in the most amazing ways to us, to our whole family. And we really started asking Him, do you want us to start worshiping at Fellowship? Is this where you want us to follow you to serve here? And little did we know that that step of faith was going to lead to the biggest step of faith we've had yet. Whenever the Lord started putting it on our hearts to adopt, we were just completely blown away. And in a lot of ways I felt like David, who was saying, who am I, Lord, and what is my family that you have brought us this far? Because it just seemed so amazing that He would call our family to this. And I remember one Sunday very clearly, Doug was speaking on the difference between religion and following Jesus. And one of the questions Doug asked was, are you obeying because you want to seek a crown here or in heaven? Or are you obeying just because it's the natural response of what God's done for you? And I realized that with fostering, it was like that for me. I didn't really care so much for a crown here. I wanted a crown in heaven. I wanted to know that that was going to make Him more pleased with me. But with adoption, it is for us just the natural response of what God has done for us. And I realized there that He had taught me about grace, that because this was about sharing His love and not about earning His favor. Whoever said that following Jesus was boring has really not surrendered their lives to Him. This is, without a doubt, the biggest adventure of our lives, and there is so much freedom and blessing in just being willing to see where He leads. And once we were willing to see where He was leading, He just blew the doors wide open. He has opened our hearts to orphan care, opened our hearts to adoption, and He is doing it all. We are just simply willing. He has done everything in His mighty hand. He has gone before us, He has fought for us, He is leading the way, and He is providing everything we need along the way. And it is not because we have been doing the right things, and it's not because of anything we've done or haven't done. It's because of His grace, and it's because of His love for us, and it's because of His love for these children who need a home.
My name's Ryan Copeland. I've been here at Fellowship for going on a year and a half. Yeah, I don't fit your normal church profile by any means. I had ups and downs. Now from when I was in Minnesota, I was kind of like a borderline rock star. I mean, it was pretty much did what I want when I wanted. Ran security at 2 nightclubs for 5 years. Worked at a prison. I was in bodybuilding, so I was in the prime of my life, physical wise, and just a lot of things crumbled. You know, I think I was moving too fast, and God just kind of said I need to pull back the reins, and I wouldn't do it, so He did it for me. Well, I've teetered with coming back to church and everything. On and off, you know, I'd started another church when I first moved back to Searcy, and I liked it for a little bit, and then it was just, it wasn't appealing to me. It wasn't just grasping, you know, where I was looking at my watch the whole time, and you know, just wondering what I was going to do next, as opposed to just being there, enjoying the Word, enjoying what was going on, and Then Sid brought me here, Jackson, and I fell in love with the place ever since. I want to be better on who I am and more or less improving myself as opposed to trying to prove. A lot of times I've did things to prove to other people. You know, I always put myself first, but it was more, you know, the views on other people, you know, instead of it being, you know, to appeal, impress God. Everybody here, staff, you know, everybody involved is so passionate about this place. And you actually feel it when you walk in. It's just not just a place you come in. You know, it becomes a part of it.
I'm Jimmy McFadden. I've been attending Fellowship Church here for a little over 6 years. I gave my heart to God in October of 2006. I was raised up in the Assembly of God Church. My mother was a real strong church believer and made all of us children go to church with her as long as we was at home. But after I joined the Air Force, I got away from that. I remember when I was 21 years old on my birthday, some guys took me to the club and I got drunk. And I continued to drink all the time I was in the Air Force. It wasn't just drinking the two. I was doing everything, really rebelling against anything. I was unfaithful to my wife. That's why I went through a divorce. My drinking just got worse and worse until finally I was hospitalized. It was in October of 2006. I drank so much I slid out of my chair and I was paralyzed. I believe now that God did that deliberately, because if I hadn't have been paralyzed, I had more whiskey in the house, but I just couldn't reach it. I'm sure that I would have drank myself to death. I was in the hospital for 30 days and went through physical therapy. And while I was in there, the doctors told some of my relatives that I wouldn't be able to live by myself. And they told me, when I heard that, I thought, oh, well, this is not good at all. So I think then's when I started changing my life. I started reading the Alcohol Anonymous book. And then when I got out of there, I was able to live by myself. I went back to my apartment, and I think it was the next morning, I got up and I knelt down on the coffee table myself and asked the Lord to help me and get my life to Him, and changed. I knew that I had to start going to church and get some help. I started into the Alcohol Anonymous, which is a good organization, and they helped me some, but I don't think that would have been enough for me. I had to depend on Christ to deliver me. That's what I told Him when I was kneeling at that table that morning. And well, my life has been 100% different. It's been like night and day from that day on. I like to get up early before my wife does. I usually get up at sometimes 4 o'clock, sometimes at 5. Spend a couple hours reading the scriptures, praying, and reading the Christian books, and just listening to God. And I think that helps me to grow with Him there. I hope I can continue to do that. So I want to tell all you young people who may be praying for your fathers, don't quit, because God can still save them. And the old people, He'll still touch your heart if you'll just yield to Him.